Well, first there was the taser, and now there's a new device to help police deal with offenders without causing them any serious injury. The BolaWrap was created in the United States with the mentally ill in mind. In the US, just like in Australia, many police encounters involve dealing with someone with mental health issues. The BolaWrap is currently being tested by several specialist police units in Australia. So let's speak to the Australian distributor, Scott Warwick, from Warwick Firearms Australia. Welcome to The Informer, Scott.
Hi, thanks for having me.
It's our pleasure. Let's talk about the BolaWrap. It's been described as remote handcuffs. How would you describe this device?
I'd describe it as a non-pain requiring device to apprehend people that are, perhaps mentally ill or, in need of help.
So let's go back to the tin tacks. How actually does it work?
Well, it projects two metal barbs or weights with barbs on the end on a cord, and they fly through the air at about 550 feet a second, and at about 3 meters it's down to about 80 feet a second, and it wraps around. Once it hits, the barbs continue, or the weights continue travelling forward, and then once the cord's taken up, they continue to wrap. Okay,
it also involves lasers, doesn't it? So just to the layperson, how does it actually work?
So there's a laser, it's a horizontal laser, so you can tell that you've got the device up the correct way and it's where it is, and where you point that laser within 3 to 10 metres it will hit and continue to wrap.
Okay. What's the benefit to a police officer using the BolaWrap, say if they're trying to subdue someone?
I think the advantage is that they can deploy it instantly. They don't need to wait and try and de-escalate a situation by mouth before they bring out, say, a taser or a firearm. They can literally step out of the car and deploy the device because it doesn't require pain. It wraps the cord around and they can't move, and so if they've got a knife and they're by their side, that it will keep their arm down. It gives them an opportunity, a seconds of advantage to walk in and then apprehend.
And where does the device sit? Could it just sit on an officer's belt, or is that how it works?
Yeah, they come with a belt clip, or they have a pouch that can be provided. Law enforcement agencies can decide how they want to mount it in any fashion and have their own pouches developed for it.
But it's pretty mobile?
Yeah, very much so, handheld.
Okay. Tell us, who invented the BolaWrap and why did they do this?
I think the Bola, going back originally, comes from South America. It's been found in California in excavations, but right down south, Chile and what have you, what we call Chile now, but Patagonia and the River Plate, those Indians used them for catching food and bringing down large birds like emu-sized sort of birds that live in that area.
So it was like a hunting device?
Yeah, developed for hunting to help people eat.
And what was it made of then? It wouldn't have been involving a Kevlar cord?
No, originally they had leather or sinew used, and then different types of weights, bone I believe have been found, rock, timber, and then used for both battle as well. The Incas used them in battle.
So if I'm a police officer and I'm going out to a scene, a domestic or something, and I know someone's going to be affected, what's the benefit of being able to deploy something like a BolaWrap?
I think knowing that it doesn't inflict pain on the individual, it gives them the opportunity, I think, to deploy it instantly and potentially de-escalate a situation quicker.
And I suppose just subdue that person so that then you can be up close enough to virtually confront them or deal with the next stage of arrest. Is that right? Yeah,
ideally you'd have a couple of officers, so you could deploy it. In an ideal world it'd be maybe 2 deployments. One will work fine, but you need to then step in and continue the arrest.
Because I know police members that I've spoken to that have been in a very difficult, challenging circumstance that have used virtually capsicum sprays and they're just rendered ineffective. You have to get too close to deploy it. A lot of the foam ends up in your face, and rather than on the offender. So no worries about that with this device.
No, it's a physical restraint, so it keeps their arms by their side, and that people can fight their way out of things, but the idea is that you've got those few seconds of advantage and the shock of the round going off and the noise, and you step in and then continue the arrest.
Tell me about, does it actually hurt you? Because you're dealing with Kevlar wrapping around someone's body or their arms or legs. Do the barbs hurt?
No, they stick in the clothing, and yeah, you wouldn't even, it's quite amazing how it doesn't hurt. I was a bit apprehensive on the first one, but yeah, and a few people that I know have been apprehensive, and it's they're just shocked. Oh, I didn't feel it at all.
Mm. Now, you've been in the Army, Scott. Is there any use for the BolaWrap, do you think, in the ADF?
Interesting. I would have thought definitely for the military police, potentially. But I think on peacekeeping missions, for sure, there's an opportunity there to use a non-lethal device. I mean, that's another whole world. The military trains differently. They don't train to apprehend, you know. Really, the military trains to shoot and kill the enemy. So it's a different world.
The only thing I would think is that you probably couldn't use this in a crowd, like a riot or any sort of protest, because it sounds like you need a bit of space around the individual that you're going to be deploying the BolaWrap around. Is that right?
Yeah, that's definitely correct. So police have to make 1,000 decisions instantly, and whether they use a firearm or a taser or a BolaWrap, say. And there are scenarios where you can't use those, and one would be in a riot anyway. You can't use a lot of those devices, and you can't use them in narrow corridors or things like that. The BolaWrap, it requires a certain width to operate at its optimum.
Now, you also work a lot in the film industry, supplying a lot of different implements and equipment and devices. Have you ever used the BolaWrap in a film that you've been working on?
Yeah, just recently it was used in a TV series. So it wasn't actually deployed, but the person had it on their person.
Okay. No name, no picture?
No, not out. That's not out yet. So it's still shooting now.
Okay. Well, that's interesting. Shooting being the operative word.
Yeah.
Tell me, what has been the Australian Police Services, the various states, how have they perceived this? Because a lot of members now are wearing, you know, some of them have got tasers, they've got capsicum sprays, they've got, you know, batons, they've got handcuffs. Do they really need something else like this? What do you think? Yeah,
look, I think being one of the only ones like handcuffs, they're non-pain compliant. So all the others require pain and brute force. I think that this is a good alternative to be able to deploy. And, you know, police, yes, they do already have to make on-the-spot decisions and what device they're going to deploy. Extra training required, and, you know, whether or not it's the right thing for them to use is really up to them. Each police force is different. It's already being used and adopted by hundreds of different agencies in America and internationally. So it is on the uptake rapidly. So I think it's a matter of time before someone does start to use it.
Currently, police members throughout Australia, are they testing this device? Yeah,
there is. Yep, several have tested it already, and there's some being tested now.
And have they found it effective?
They don't give me that information, so I'm not privy to that.
Okay. I suppose finally, how much would a BolaWrap cost? How much do they retail?
There is no set retail price that I'll be giving online, but yeah, that's law enforcement and government. I'll be giving that to.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for coming in and speaking to The Informer today.
Thank you.